In 2011, I had my first experience of true weightlessness, floating in microgravity like an astronaut. But this was not in space. This was on Earth, on a plane, a parabolic flight that flies zero gravity arcs like a roller coaster in the sky. We took off from Houston, flew up and down somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico. And if that sounds chaotic, you're not wrong. It's affectionately known as the Vomit Comet. But for me, it was shockingly sublime. And I think that's because this is in my blood. My parents are both pilots. My mother, one of the first women to ever fly for the United States Air Force. And after this flight, I decided this was it. This is what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to work in aerospace. 10 years later, I'm at MIT, working diligently away on my PhD, trying to build space habitats that could welcome dozens or hundreds, maybe even someday thousands of people into orbit. And a professor challenges me, asks me, is it not morally irresponsible to spend so much money on space exploration in the face of these really pressing, even existential challenges that we have on Earth? And I can feel myself come crashing to the ground. Because it is a really good question and a tough one for me, I certainly believe in the beauty of science for the sake of science, of knowledge and exploration just for the sake of new knowledge. But there's more to the story. Our space program has always delivered really profound advances for the benefit of life on Earth. Transistors, which came out of the Apollo program that brought us to the moon, are now the foundation of modern computing. And more recently, the technology that we use to build the International Space Station, this precision docking tech, ended up influencing and contributing to the precision light technology that we use in LASIK eye surgery. And so this became my mission when I founded Ariel Institute at the end of my MIT PhD, was to say, how can we explore space in an ethically responsible way while still profoundly benefiting life on Earth? Ariel Institute is a space architecture design firm. We have essentially invented a new in-space construction technology for self-assembling big structures in orbit, way bigger than your biggest rocket payload fairings. This is based on my MIT PhD, where we use special magnets to autonomously assemble modular units. So think big space Legos that build themselves in orbit. The technology called tesserae is a wonderful example of something that we can only do in space. The tiles literally self-assemble. They float together while they're in free fall around the planet. And we've had this amazing opportunity to test them twice now in space on board the International Space Station. When we're in space, we can leverage these really unique aspects of the environment, like the vacuum, like microgravity, to manufacture or harness things that we could not do on Earth. In low Earth orbit, we can use the tesserae technology to self-assemble biotech factories. These factories will fold proteins differently in a way that we could not do on Earth because of the constraints of gravity to make life-saving new therapies. These therapies will be made in space, but brought back down to Earth. A little further out, between the Earth and the sun, we can use the tesserae technology to self-assemble thousands of solar panels above the atmosphere and beam down raw, unfiltered sunlight anywhere on Earth at any time, even at night, fundamentally solving the inequitable access to solar power and the intermittency problem for solar power. But here's the thing. If we're actually going to leverage this amazing technological promise for space and space exploration, we need to bring the best of what we have learned from life on Earth with us. We know a lot down here about what it takes for humans to really flourish. And that's about building a civil society that is based on fairness, freedom of access, and equity. So we want to bring as many people as possible. We want as many folks to have access to the things that we are building in space and access to the tools to be builders themselves. We want more people like this audience and others to see yourselves in the future of life in space, even if you did not have fighter pilot parents. And so as we build out space technology in service of Earth, and as we at Aurelia build space stations to bring more Earthlings along with us, we are also building community. At Aurelia, my team and I really fundamentally believe that we can democratize access to space by teaching, including, and expanding access to space experiences for more people from all walks of life. We will fundamentally empower humanity for our next era, our future, wherever we may find ourselves, on Earth, in orbit around Earth, or beyond.